Hello everyone, Don Peterson coming to you from the Swing Factory Golf Studio just north of Atlanta. I wanted to do a video for parents. So this is my 6 best tips for the parents of junior golfers. I thought about this for a little bit, and I think the number one thing that parents can do for their junior golfers is provide access for golf. So, you know, I've had lots of parents come to me and they want to sign their kid up for lessons at ages 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And, you know, lessons with a top PGA golf professional are expensive. So one of the things that I try to do is I say, look, you know, if you're choosing between, you know, getting lessons for your child and getting them out on the golf course, then I think it's more important for you to get them out on the golf course or out on the driving range. Because at the younger ages, what you want to do as a parent, you want to develop the eye-hand coordination, and you want to develop the motion skills and things like that. You know, motion development from the time you're a child, when you start crawling, you know, that helps. In fact, they've got some studies that I've read that the longer the child crawls, the more that helps the brain development, the right, left, and the crossover, you know, right brain, left brain. So looking at that versus, okay, then, you know, taking lessons where a teacher or coach is trying to do a swing lesson, I think is a waste of money in a lot of instances. So what I would prefer, and what I think is the best thing for the child, is to forget about swing training for a while and just get out to the golf course. So providing access to the golf course and golf driving range and practice and building skills is the number one thing. Now, number 2 would be providing the right clubs. Now, I kind of thought about this before I did this video, and I thought, okay, which is most important, having the right size clubs or having access to a golf course? Because obviously, if you don't have you know, clubs that fit you, you're not going to be able to develop a very good swing. But I had clubs that didn't fit me when I was 10 years old, and I still had access to a golf course, and I got by and learned to play the game. So. If you don't have access to the golf course, then you don't need good clubs, right? So, but number 2 would be make sure your child has the right clubs. And this is a pretty good example of junior golf clubs. And we have, in my opinion, the best manufacturer of junior golf clubs is right here in Norcross, Georgia, and that would be US Kids Golf. And I know the owner there, and he's done a great job of technology, you know, figuring out the technology for the junior golfer. And these clubs are very light. They have very small grips for smaller hands. They have very light club heads, so they can generate club head speed. They're very flexible. I often tell people that the technology that went into these, the golf clubs should be $400 drivers, you know. So, and you know, US Kids has done it for a very reasonable price. These clubs are not very high priced, even brand new. You do not have to buy full sets, so that's important. And you have to understand that, you know, we have 14 clubs in our bag as adults, and let's just say, you know, a lot of players have an average club head speed of 100 miles an hour if you're an adult, okay? And so then you look back at, you know, maybe women and seniors are down around 50 or 60 miles an hour. And if you take and cut that in half, so 100 miles an hour, 14 clubs. So let's say you only need about 7 clubs if you're 50 miles an hour. And so you're covering half that distance. So I always draw this out, but obviously if you're trying to cover up to 250 yards with 14 clubs, then you're only gonna have to do about half of that, 125 yards, and you only need about half the clubs. So if you looked at the US Kids clubs and how they've done it, you can get a 3-club set with a bag for the little 3 and 4-year-olds, and then you go up to, you know, 5 clubs or 7 clubs as you get older. And you can see here the different progression in the clubs, the shortest ones up to the longer ones. And again, just tremendous for the kids. It allows them to swing more like they'll be able to when they grow into the adult size. And that would be number 2. The most important thing you can do is get your child properly fit clubs for their age. And there's a chart, and there's a PGA golf professional out there that can help you do that. It's fairly simple. You go by height and strength, I think, mostly. And Anyway, do that, and don't be afraid to, you can get them slightly longer, and then they'll grow into them, but the kids will, I've seen kids get these and grow out of them in 6 months. So you just, and they retain their value pretty good. So just swap out, you know, sell them at a garage sale, pass them down to the next kid, or, but make sure you keep in the right club as the child develops. So that would be tip number 2. Okay, tip number 3. I see parents that push really hard and they want their child to exceed. So one of the things I think that's most important, and again, this could be number 1. A lot of people could say, oh, if you don't have fun, then you're not doing the right thing. That should be the number 1 thing that parents provide. But, you know, golf course access is good. Having the right size clubs is good, and let's make it fun, okay? So if you push too hard or if you get too much involved in instruction, you know, again, I think there's so much technology out there, and the instructors, a lot of the instructors have gotten very technical, and the parents want to be real technical, and of course every parent thinks their child is the smartest and, you know, most perceptive child out there, and they can understand this at 4 years old. Well, I think what happens, what I've seen, my experience is the kids don't want to be technical. They just want to hit the ball. And you know, you give them a ball and say, make it and go in the hole, and they go make it go in the hole. And a lot of times they don't do it right in the beginning, so don't get frustrated and don't try to make them do it right. That's part of a process of learning. You'll see kids put the putter face down and they'll point it completely wrong. And then they'll try to stroke it and it won't go towards the hole, but that's all part of what they've got to learn. So don't sit there and try to make them do it right. You'll frustrate them, and I think the problem with that is then they don't like golf. It's like, oh, I don't want to play that because you won't let me have fun. So make sure that you stay away from the high tech and the you know, being anal about everything that they do, and just make it fun. All right, so don't push so hard and make golf fun. I would say try to stay away from the instruction part of it as much as possible. I think it's smarter to get a PGA professional or someone who's trained at you know, teaching golf. Okay, I've already kind of talked about this in the first few tips, but number 4 tip that I would give parents is to not swing train too early. And I've said this earlier, if you're, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and even up to 7, I almost think that's too early to swing train. Kids are still learning how to develop their muscles, their motion training. They're still, you know, if you look at the progression of how someone throws, for instance, a lot of times you'll see kids throw and it's like they don't know how to step, and when they do step, they step with the wrong foot. Sometimes they don't even throw with the same hand. They'll throw with a different hand. And you look at the motion of the throw, and it takes a while for them to develop, where they start throwing and then they go, oh, I can throw it harder if I move my weight. And then they go, oh, if I pick up my foot, I can throw it harder. So, and then they start stepping and throwing, and you get this kind of whip action. All right, so golf swing's no different. It's going to take a while. So make golf accessible. Let them go hit golf balls. I'm not saying not to practice, okay? Go out there and let them try all kinds of things. And I think helping the little kids skill develop, you know, that's why I think it's important to have the right clubs. You want to have the sand wedge, you want to have the putter, you want to have the driver, you want to have the fairway wood or the hybrid or whatever. And you want those kids trying to, you know, my son, when he was like 5 years old, I remember him getting in a bunker with a sand wedge, and he was in there for 2 hours just trying to hit balls out of the sand. I don't know if he even knew what he was doing, but he was trying to get the ball out of the sand. So what happens is they develop the skill almost on their own. Now, if I'd have been in there trying to instruct him, he wouldn't have hit half as many shots, because I would have been bothering him with instruction. He was in there for 2 hours just wailing away, taking swing after swing after swing. And he learned a lot from that. And that's what will happen with your juniors if you leave them alone. Just let them go out there and hit lots of golf balls. You know, lots of golf balls is fine. Let them practice as much as they want. But don't try to swing train too much. You get too much into, stand closer, you know, stick your seat out, get your hands on there right, and pretty soon you're messing with the fun. All right, so don't try to swing train too early, and I think that's a real important tip. Okay, tip number 5 is don't specialize too soon. I think you see in the larger schools, in fact, you know, I grew up in a small school, so it's like we did everything. And I think that was kind of fortunate on my part. I look back on it, and, you know, I was in the band and I was in a play once, and I think I tried chorus for a couple days and decided I didn't like that. But, you know, I ran track and played football a little bit, a couple years, and played basketball and golf. So, you know, I had a lot of things going on, and I see some of my students, and I've got a couple of really good girl players, and you know, they're involved in basketball, and a couple of them are in you know, different activities at school, and they're involved, heavily involved with a lot of other things, and golf is kind of part-time for them. Now, when they're playing golf, they're into it, they're specializing, okay? But I think if you try to take somebody and you say, okay, we're just going to play golf, because you have to specialize as you get older. You know, you see it in the high schools and college, obviously, and you know, a lot of people think, well, if you don't specialize, you can't compete, and if you're going to try to make this team. But I think that, sometimes with sports, it helps you to play basketball and along with golf, or it helps you to play tennis, or it helps you to play some of the other sports, because you know, you're building your body. Sometimes you know, I played basketball when I was growing up, and that was really good training for me as far as fitness and getting in shape and getting stronger and things like that. So every time I came back to the golf, then I was stronger and I hit it further. So try not to specialize too soon, and let the kid have some variety and some fun, because when he does get back to golf, there's going to be more focus and more concentration and more passion, more desire to play when he has the chance to play, or her. Okay, and the last tip I have for parents would be, when you do find a coach, make sure you find a coach who helps develop the golfer's swing. And I think there's 2 things that you want to look for. Make sure that the coach is preaching deep shoulder turn. You want to have, kids need to have really big shoulder turns if they want to play competitively when they get older. If the child is swinging and they're not using their back, not turning their back, and they're just lifting their arms, I think this is a fault that'll haunt them throughout their career. So good coaches, I think, in my opinion, most of them will teach the child or the junior to make a bigger back turn. And then I like to see better footwork. I've heard a lot of coaches tell kids to keep their feet planted when they swing. I hate that. I think kids should be left heel up, right heel up. I think they should be learning how to use their body when they're younger. Jack Nicklaus said, teach them to hit it far when they're a kid, and then they'll learn to hit it straight when they get older. And I think there's a lot to that. And if you looked at Nicklaus and the way he swung, he picked up his left heel and turned through. I don't see anybody on tour who doesn't finish up here and turn through the golf shot. So we know that from science now that swing comes from the ground, goes through our feet, through our legs and our hips, and out our arms to the golf club head. So learn to use the ground and have coaches. Find a coach who, you know, obviously we can't all afford to have the best coaches, but find the best coach you can for the money, and you know, look at the products they're putting out there, see if they've got good players, and find out about your coach before you sign up and take lessons, because there's lots of good people out there, and there's also some bad ones. So when you do find a coach, again, make sure they're preaching big muscles, moving the club back and forth. And that's it. Other than that, get those kids out there playing. It's a great game, and a game of a lifetime. Well, thanks for visiting my channel. If you like my work, please like and subscribe. And at the bottom, you'll see the push notifications, that little bell. If you tap or click on that, that'll make sure you get my next video. Thanks. Can't wait to see you again.